Good to have you back at the pavilion.
Yeah, really nice to be here, back again, and yeah, looking forward to chatting.
Yeah, and a session as well. Although actually the session's not going to be at the pavilion, 'cause I think I'm chasing you on a bike today. So,
yeah, something a little bit different.
You're getting quicker and quicker, so I've now resorted to public transport and bikes to try and catch up with you. So, yeah, but good to have you back, because this is where our work kind of started, isn't it?
Yeah, it must have been 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, got in touch with you, came down here, had no idea what I was doing, hence getting in touch, I suppose. And yeah, you opened a whole new world to me of how to become an elastic runner, I suppose. That's what it's all about. So yeah, some happy memories running around.
Yeah, I think we used to work over there in the corner of the park there. That's where we were. And I think you came and you had a job at the time, I think.
Yeah, I like to think I have a job now, but it's a little bit more what I enjoy doing. But I was working very much full time as a sales manager on the road. Okay. And yeah, I'm not entirely sure they knew I was here at the time. Sneak off for a bit of a morning's work, but that's what I was doing a little bit more, just getting a bit more into my running, and that was just eating into what my job at the time. As my running is becoming more and more serious. So yeah, you were part of that way to where I've got to now.
Yeah, so that's why I like your journey or your journey so far. Is that when you came? I mean, what sort of marathon time were you running at the time?
It would probably been around about 3:45 to 4 hours. Right, okay. I've certainly been over 4 hours a few times as well.
I remember that conversation.
Yeah.
How working out how to get under 4. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was early days, and I think I said to you, I distinctly remember. You might not remember, but I said to you I wanted to run a 3-hour marathon, and you kind of raised your eyebrows and thought, okay, well, that's very, very ambitious at the time. So it just kind of shows, yeah, we've made a lot of progress since then.
Yeah. And I think we did 5. I think we did about 5 sessions together.
Yeah.
On form and becoming an elastic runner. And I know we worked a lot on stride length and stuff like that. So we did a lot of form work together over maybe a 6-month period. And then you kind of disappeared.
And then I disappeared.
What happened then? Because then you reappeared a little bit later, doing amazing times, and
I don't really know what happened. But I suppose it was a little bit a case of just trying to get all of my sort of things in line with what I thought I was going to need to do to have this sort of goal of breaking 3 hours. So I just took a lot of what I'd learned from you, and a lot of the things that you can teach, you can take away and do in your own time. So I probably felt I didn't need to come back all the time.
Yeah, no,
and sort of took all these things and went away and worked on it for a few years. And then
so from 3:45, then what would you call your breakthrough race where you thought, actually, I might be quite good at this?
I went to a race. I actually can't even remember the name of it, but it was a race put on in Kent, and I just turned up early in the morning, 8:30 in the morning, and it was just a few out and backs on a seawall for a marathon, and I broke 3 hours, and I had no idea. I didn't even try to. I just literally went out for a run. And I crossed the finish line, and it said 2:57 on my watch. It wasn't an officially measured race, so I couldn't actually count it. Sure. And so the first time I broke 3 hours, it was kind of by accident. It was very odd. And I suppose from then on, I was just like, okay, well, there's obviously something in all of it. There must be a little bit of natural talent. But I was working so hard with all these aspects of my running, it was all kind of coming together.
And were you coaching yourself, or did you have a coach, from the point of
I
view
had
of
no idea
mileage?
I had no idea what I was doing. I was literally just reading. You were about the only expert I was talking to. I didn't have a coach myself, but I was just using YouTube, which is my platform now.
Absolutely, yeah.
And trying to put some quality content out there. So that's how I started. Yeah, just a lot of videos, a lot of sort of following along, seeing what people were doing, listening to stories, listening to a lot of podcasts, and just jumping in full, in the world out there and just absorbing as much content as I could.
Make many mistakes?
Oh, plenty. Just constant mistakes, constantly sort of getting niggles and that sort of thing. But that's all part of it when you learn, and you've got to find your feet in what you're doing. And yeah, just there must have been lots of stuff out there. It's a while ago now.
Yeah, sure.
And then a few months later, I actually ran a 3-hour marathon officially in Edinburgh for the first time. Off the back of not a lot of training.
Had you given up work by this time, or
No, I was very much still working, sort of full time. But I ran 2:55 in Edinburgh, and I was working very much, sort of 6 days a week, pretty much for like 10 hours. It was pretty full on, travelling all over the country, but managed to get this off not a lot of training. So I thought, okay, But part of the reason to come and see you was if I don't have that natural like cardiovascular system that some pro athletes and things have, if I can just work out how to get from point A to point B as efficiently as possible, I don't need all of that. And so it's like tapping into other ways of becoming a faster runner.
Yeah, I think for people that are listening, I think if you can build this big engine, but at the same time take down the toll of what that engine's got to do, then it only kind of goes one way, doesn't it? And I think one of the things that you've done really well is, I think really with running these days, we tend to think of efficient movement as moving over the ground and trying to save energy or not use energy. Whereas what you've cracked the code of is moving over the ground and creating energy. You now move over the ground where you create elastic energy through your kinetic movement.
Propelling yourself forward in that way.
That's huge. And I think that for me watching you, that's one of the big changes, without a doubt.
So people always ask me like, what's your VO2 max and all of this stuff. My figures aren't great. You know, they don't, I always really over deliver in my race performance as what someone would say I'm capable of, and a lot of that has come from the work we've done.
I work with Tom Evans, who does ultras as well as quick stuff and marathons, and he's I've heard him say the same thing. His VO2 max is good. It's not spectacular. These are his words. It's good, but what is good is his efficiency, and he moves very much like you in as much as he creates a lot of this elastic
sort of bow. It's very impressive to see.
And so, at what point did you say, right, okay, I want running to be what I do? I know you love it, but and it's everybody's dream to do what you want to do.
I don't think there really was like a breakthrough moment. I changed jobs.
It wasn't that light bulb moment when you suddenly sat up and said,
there
right,
wasn't
I'm going to be an athlete.
moment. I changed jobs, but that was just because I wasn't enjoying the work I was doing, and they could see that, and I didn't get any satisfaction out of it, and I was just becoming. I didn't want to be an employee annoying my employer because I couldn't be bothered to do the job. So I just sat down and I said to them, this is not working out for me. Luckily I'd managed to save a lot over the years, so I thought I've got enough money to last about a year, so let's see what we can do. But the day I left my job, I handed in my notice, I thought I was still applying for new jobs. I thought I can't do this, but you've got to have a bit of a fallout plan. No one can make a living out of running. I'm not Mo Farah or whatever, so it's just impossible to do. And I was getting on a bit. You know, I'm not going to be going to the Olympics or the Commonwealth Games or anything like that, but like, how can I sell myself and tell my story and help people? I just wanted to help people essentially and sort of coach people. So with applying for other sort of jobs, I was also then going on some courses like to become a qualified running coach and things like that, and thinking, where can we go with this? Started making videos, started putting content out there, and luckily got a bit of traction very early on.
And that's obviously grown and grown and grown, and I think one of the reasons it has grown is because you are very down to earth, and you give a fair bit back. You know, you give a lot of information out, don't you? You're keen to share.
It's all
your
about
journey
wanting to help people out, because we get a lot of satisfaction from people that come and say, this is what I've managed to do because of the information that I've got from you, and that is really priceless. Hearing those stories of people that have done something off the back of a small part of what me or Sarah has done, it's been amazing to see. So it's been an interesting journey, and we've managed to somehow make it our living now, and it's going okay, but we're very, very lucky and fortunate to be in this position. So
one of the things that always fascinates me with runners and watching their journey, and one of the things I'm always interested in, is do you enjoy your running now? Because I know you're chasing 2:20 for the marathon now, so there's been this incredible journey of times coming down and coming down and coming down. Do you enjoy it as much as you did when you were trying to break 3 or when you were trying to break 4 hours? Is it still as much fun, or is it harder work? Is it more like a job? What's that relationship?
That's a really difficult question. I try not to view my running as work, although we do document a lot of it, and putting yourself out there in the way puts a lot of pressure on it. But in the same way, people love to hear the highs and the lows as well, and there's plenty of those with what we've been through this year. I don't view it as sort of work, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'm going to give it my all to try and make it happen. I don't run for those times. That's not why I do it. I don't run to try and do those. That's not my goal. I enjoy it, and it's a result of it. But I just love just going out for a run, and that's what I enjoy. It gives me like time to be myself, to get my thoughts in the right place, just to chill out, listen to a podcast, and just love the process of moving and seeing nature around you. and I get so much satisfaction from that, rather than the result. The results come,
Yeah, if
and that sells itself. It sells the business. It like brings people in.
Yeah.
But from a day-to-day point of view of my running, I just love the process of getting out.
Yeah. When I worked with Damien Hall, who's an ultra runner, but has had a similar journey to you, and he came into the sport kind of reasonably late, has done amazingly well. And I always remember him saying to me, the big change for him was he actually fell in love with the training process. So he used to train to race, but actually when he fell in love with actually going out and training, that's actually when the results really came.
Yeah, it makes me so happy that what I love to do more just results in those sort of
I
faster
think
times.
that's a huge message to runners out there, is to
So
enjoy
many
the process.
people just go out just to perform.
Yeah.
It's just a performance goal orientated thing. I just do all this to get that. But for a lot of marathon runners, they're running one or twice a year. That's a lot of pressure you put on yourself.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen on race day, which for a lot of people it doesn't in a marathon, then it's just, you're just going to end up feeling a bit deflated. But for me, it's, we do lots of different distances, different surfaces, and lots of different things. But you've got to enjoy that process. And a lot of people come to us and say, I don't really like running. Well, don't run then. Work out how to enjoy it a little bit more. Start with that fundamental thing of enjoying your running, and work out why it's not, and then go from there.
So it's been very inspiring the way you've kind of come from just an everyday runner to being very good. What's also inspiring is the way you've come back from your injury. I mean, most runners get injured at some point in their career, without a doubt. And sadly, a lot of runners then leave the sport.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. So you had, really at the peak of your kind of powers, as it were, you had an injury, pretty big injury. You're incredibly laid back about everything, but I mean, that must have been reasonably traumatic for you to kind of wake up and look down at your ankle and think, okay.
It was difficult, yeah. I had, for people that might not know, it was nothing to do with running. I fell off a skateboard, basically.
I'm not sure if
Trying
that's a cool way
to
get injured or not. I can't work it out.
Very much a midlife crisis, if I can say that at my age. Trying to be a cool YouTuber, vlogging along, Casey Neistat style on an electric skateboard. So yeah, it's just one of those. I've been very cautious all through my life. I haven't been skiing. I've never been on a skateboard. I've never been on like a motor. All these type of things I just don't do because I'm too scared of hurting myself. So I go and get this thing. Had it about a week, maybe a couple of weeks, and then fallen off it. I'm in hospital, in A&E, broken ankle, it needs surgery, metal plates in there, and yeah, just in a bit of a state, asking the people in there, am I going to run again, am I going to walk again? And this coincided with COVID and everything. And they said to me after they'd done all of this, a week later, we wouldn't have had the capacity to operate, and you would have never really run again.
Wow.
So that was a pretty powerful thing to hear. You'd have walked with a limp for probably the rest of your life. I'd have probably run, but like not so. So
not as well.
I needed this surgery, but they would about a week later it wouldn't have got it. I mean, I might have make it happen if I paid for it privately, but it would have been a huge cost. So we were very lucky in a way to get through that. A very bad thing, but very lucky. It kind of got all fixed.
And
quite
how's that
quickly.
journey been? I guess what I want, the reason that we're even having this talk really is because I find your journey pretty inspiring, and that's what I want it to do, is inspire people, A, to believe that they can do some amazing stuff, and also when coming back from an injury, because everybody has them. So, I want people to try and learn from your journey of coming back.
I suppose I always believe I can get where I want to get to, and this was a big step back, but it's you just dial yourself back and you just think, where am I now and where do I want to get to, and you just got to constantly be looking at that. And so I never viewed it as like I've lost loads of fitness. I was just like, this is where I am, what we're doing now, what we're doing tomorrow, what we're doing next week. And you just got to look in that sort of short term, like, where was I last week, where am I now? I'm making progress, it's going forward. And it does, life isn't just a progress thing up. We have ups and downs and peaks and troughs in everything, whether that's like love, relationships, financially, and whatever it is. And running's like that. Everybody will get injured. It's a full body weight thing. We're going to put ourselves through things, and all the injuries I've had haven't been to do with running, which is a bit odd. But yeah, so it's just one of those things. Life throws these things at you, and this year's shown us that life's too short to really dwell on it too much, really, and just got to work out a way to get back to where you want to get to. So yeah, it's been tough, and it's really been only the last few weeks now, which is what, like 10 months after the injury, that I don't really notice it that much anymore.
Right, okay, you feel as though you're coming out,
So yeah,
out the
but
other
it's still,
side.
it can be a bit sore. We're trying to run 100 miles this week, which will be a normal sort of training week, but you know, that's been a long time since I've been able to
I
do
know
that.
you came here for a session as soon as you were kind of moving around, really, didn't you,
Yeah.
to kind of have a look at what you were doing. And what I found absolutely fascinating, and what is a lot of the work I do with people, where I'm a big believer that movement is essentially a software thing. Yeah, the brain is basically telling the hardware
Yeah.
what to do. And when you first came, your brain was definitely, your software was definitely in compensation mode. Look after this person and keep them safe, because you were
very
always
much
moving.
protecting
Yeah.
that damage that had
Yeah.
happened,
Yeah.
and I wasn't consciously doing that
No,
at all, and
sure.
I felt like I was moving okay. I knew I was limping a little bit, but just to see it on the footage like that was it was a real sort of eye-opener. But then seeing that footage, you can go away and try and reprogram the brain, because once I can understand where you're trying to get to a little bit more, then
Yeah.
you can sort of override what it's trying to do.
Yeah, I think seeing yourself move helps you to kind of bypass that kind of software thing, because we don't move badly on purpose, so we have to assume the movement we're making is a good one. So
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it's good to be able to see ourselves move.
Yeah, and luckily
do
what
that.
I do with making a lot of videos, Sarah does film me quite a lot, so I can sort of pick up things and make videos, but also use that footage to analyse myself
Well, I
quite
watch
a lot
them as
as
well. So I watch them as well to analyse you, to see what's going on, and yeah, it's a good opportunity for
Yeah.
me. Do a lot of remote coaching with people, but for you, I don't really have to do that, because I'll just jump onto the YouTube site and see how you're
See some
moving.
videos.
Yeah, so we're out on the bike today, or I'm on the bike, you're running, so it'll be really good to see how you move over a period of time, and see,
Yeah, there's always
see how-
stuff to work on. There's, you know, we're not all Elliot Kipchoge. If he's perfect, you know, everybody.
He's as good as he is because he works so hard. Yeah, and I think that's one of the big messages, without a doubt. Yeah, you've got to keep putting the work in. Nobody's the finished article, I don't think. What in the future then? So what have you got? I mean, it's a challenging time at the moment, because it's hard to kind of choose races and understand where you're going to be and what you're going to do. But what are you looking for?
So yeah, in terms of performance goals, then that sort of sub 220 in the marathon, running 320Ks for 42K is a real goal. Probably got about 3 or 4 years to try and make that happen in sort of my age-wise, so we'll give that a good crack next year. We're in Berlin Marathon and Valencia Marathon towards the latter end of the year.
Yeah.
And the first half of the year, just looking to get back travelling around Europe as best we can, see some back into the mountains. We've got a 100-mile track race as well,
Okay.
which will be an interesting, a completely new type of running for me. 100
yeah.
miles on a 400-metre track,
Yeah.
so 400 odd laps of that. That's going to be a fascinating thing to do.
That's very much a mind thing, isn't
Yeah,
it? So
a
yeah.
good sort of mental aspect. So get stuck into that, and further ahead, I don't know where this journey takes me. I've really just focused on the short term. People always say, "What's your 2-year plan, 5-year?" I was like, I don't know. I'm just making the most of now, trying to live life and enjoy life, and help as many people out as we can. And,
Excellent. Right. Well, let's go and get that bike out and start rewriting the
Yes.
next part of the
see
journey.
how well we're moving at the moment. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. Good
Thanks,
stuff.
Shane.
Pleasure.